So, hello, everybody. This is Emily, and I've got Paul Pettit coming all the way from Australia.
G'day.
Not really.
No, kind of.
You did kind of come from Australia, so I mean, that's where you were you born there?
Yeah. Born and raised in Australia. Yeah, traveled
Yeah.
the world for quite a long time, and then eventually settled down here.
Yeah,
17. Yeah.
2017. Okay, awesome. Well, this is I've interviewed you a couple of times on my podcast.
We've had fun.
I love listening to your podcast too. And this one's going to be different because it's kind of like going to be a coaching session. So I was thinking I should have like a glass of wine or a glass of beer or be already drunk for this.
Settle your nerves. I
put on the spot.
I know. I tend to do this to you. Do you remember when you're on my podcast and I put you on the spot? You tend to fall for my tricks, I think. But anyway, it's good of you to do this. It's great of you to have the opportunity to present, by the way. Congratulations on this. And it's just good that you're open-minded to becoming vulnerable, which is
Well, I can't just talk about it. I guess I got to demonstrate it too. But a lot of people may not know if they've not worked with a coach, they may not know what goes on at a coaching session or what they could expect or how a coach can help them. And so you're a coach, and that's what we're going to kind of be demonstrating today.
Yeah, we're going to be doing it. And it's important what you said. Cognitively, we can learn a lot of things. You can read a lot of books, but the true knowledge comes experientially. It's when you experience the emotions and understand the process of what takes place in this body and this mind and this brain, and just enjoy it. Just understand that whether it's pleasant or unpleasant, it's okay. And this is all pretty much what coaching is about, or life coaching in particular. My specialty is mindfulness based life coaching. So from a science perspective, it's phenomenology and neuropsychology. But let's shorten that down. It's about the mind and the brain.
I was going to say, that sounds really complex.
Yeah, we're going to keep it simple. It's about the mind and the brain, and understanding that they are individual, but they're interdependent, the mind and the brain. And I could sit here and talk all night about it because I love the topic, but I think we get more understanding of something by experience. And you're good enough to say that you're going to put yourself on the chopping block, and have a bit of a session. And you've got no idea what we're going to talk about tonight.
No, I don't. This is not like it's planned or anything. Kelly, thanks for the support. Please stay here and support me, Kelly. No, I mean, it's not like Paul sent me the list of questions or anything.
Nope. You've become totally vulnerable and trusting me, and I really am grateful for that. So well done, you. And automatically your brain is already thinking about the chaos that could take place and how to put that into some sort of control. So that's what we tend to do. That's what the brain's job is, survival, number one. And that's what we're going to be talking about. In particular, we have this man's search for meaning, for happiness, and there's so many different avenues that we can pursue for happiness. And I mentioned to you a couple of weeks ago, and this is why this live one came on board, but Emily, it's really about learning about removing the barriers rather than seeking happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Like understanding, what are the barriers? What is it that I'm doing that is blocking my own pathway? And when we understand what it is that we're doing that's blocking the pathway, then we get to unblock it. We get to experience what it is. So without further ado, I guess I'll just sort of ease into the coaching session with you by talking about a couple of things. The difference between knowing and knowledge, and I just shared that with you then. You can know something cognitively, but to gain knowledge of it, its true knowledge is experiential. For example, I know about childbirth, but you have knowledge,
You've been born, so you know about it from that standpoint.
I know about it from this side, but So knowledge is the experience of all of the emotions that go in place,
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm talking with clients about understanding the knowledge, it's about two main parts, three in particular. My business is called Body, Mind and Soul. Body, Mind and Soul, three aggregates. But we're going to talk about form and formless. So the body is form and the parts of the body is form, but the mind is not. The mind is formless. You can't take it out of somewhere and hold it, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
But now we've got a mind because, well, we change it every now and again, yeah?
Yeah. Women do.
Have you ever changed your mind?
Oh, yeah. Women change their mind all the time. In fact, I'm going to change my mind right now and end this interview. No, just kidding.
Well, have you actually, so you've changed your mind. So there's a part of you that thinks something and a part of you that doesn't, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Or what about, have you done something and then later on kind of regretted it and thought, well, I could have handled that better?
Yes.
Uh-huh. So there's a part of you again that has done something. There's another part of you that is kind of analysing what it did. So basically there's parts of you, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Like there are physical parts of you, there are also non-physical parts of you, this thinking mind.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much where you and I are going to move into tonight.
Okay.
We're going to move into the formless parts of you. And to get an understanding of what it is that we're going to be looking at, when you have a belief in something, a circumstance or an event that's taken place, you tend to look at it from an objective view or a subjective view. And there's a big difference. And let's use the example of money and water, for example. Now, if I said to you, would you like $10,000 or would you like 4 litres, 1 gallon of water, what would you choose?
Money.
Right. Now, that's because subjectively, it's important to you at the moment. Now, if you're in the middle of the desert, you've been there for a week, and I said, here's $10,000 or here's 4 gallons, what are you going to choose? You're going to go for it? Yeah. So even though they're objects, we view them subjectively, depending on the circumstance. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what usually occurs is we take in all this information and we form an opinion on what we think is real, and therefore we feel a certain way about it. In other words, our thoughts create our feelings, and then with those feelings we take an action and get a result.
Right.
A lot of the times we believe it's a circumstance that's doing it. We think our circumstances control us. You know, I'm a dad, I'm a businessman, I'm married, I've got 100 things to do, therefore I'm worn out. But that's not true. They're all circumstances. It's my thought toward each of those that creates my reality.
Mm.
So what generally happens is, now that we understand we've got parts of us, a part of me likes this and a part of me doesn't, I changed my mind, there's different parts. To be able to move forward, we need to unblock the parts that are stuck. So you're my guinea pig tonight, and we're going to be doing this one practice. And this is only one practice of hundreds of practices involved, yeah?
All right.
So this practice is the practice of awareness of what's blocking your pathway.
Okay.
Yeah? Okay, do you want to have a sip of tea or anything before we start? Calm your nerves?
Okay.
Okay. So
awareness of what's blocking my pathway to happiness, or just
I'm going to have a sip of water. Well, it could be to happiness. We're going to discover what it is. That's the whole point. This is live. Yeah? This is live. So the first thing I'm going to invite you to do is get permission from all of your parts to be open, to just allow us to get curious about what's going on inside Emily.
Mm-hmm.
And just share with me if there's any hesitation. You can stop this anytime you want, by the way.
Yeah.
If there's anything that comes up that's a little bit too traumatic or too difficult to deal with, you can just say, okay, we're going to pause, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you think that the parts of you, what you think is you, is open to just me and you getting curious, not judgmental, just curious, then yeah, you're nodding, so that's good. Okay. So we're going to start by uncovering a part. We're going to just put it out there and think about something that perhaps a part of you that frustrates you. Something
about me that frustrates me.
Something that gets in your way. What do you think it might be?
Okay.
Yeah, you can share it.
Oh, a part about me that frustrates me is that I hate making sales.
You hate making sales?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's perfect.
If I blow on the wine, it looks more like tea. This is tea.
It is tea. Okay, so if you hate making sales, yeah? So there's a part of you that's protecting you from making sales. It's saying something has happened at some point in your life where this part of you has come forward. Okay? It's saying that you don't like being vulnerable, or you don't. There's a reason behind it, and we're just going to uncover what it is. Okay.
Hey, good.
So as you can see, I'm making notes while I'm going. So that enables me to stay focused in the moment with you, because I can come back to the notes and I don't have to keep them all in my head. So I'm just going to ask you to, if you want, you can close your eyes, you can leave them open, but I want you to get in contact with that part of you and just see if you can feel it around you or in you somewhere.
The part that hates making sales?
We're going to call it the protector. Yeah, it's just a protector. And just let it come up to the surface. And if you think that you can feel it it's present, see if you can see if it's sort of around you or if it's in you. And if it's in you, whereabouts does it reside? Where does it sit?
It's like right here.
Up in the chest. Okay. In the heart space, I'll call that. The heart chakra, chest. Okay. Can you ask that part of you if it would be open to you and I getting curious about it? Not judgmental, just curious. I just want to get to know a little bit about it.
Sure.
Sure. Okay. Okay. So that's pretty good. It's open straight away. So with being curious, I'm just interested, what is it protecting? What's this part protecting? What comes up for you? What does it feel it needs to protect?
My ego. Because I've worked for the Navy my whole career, right? So I've never had to put a value on my services. The Navy always did.
Okay.
They put the value on me. And so now I'm a coach, and, I know it's not like asking for money, and I know it's not, it's more inviting people to, I know I have a lot to offer, but I just don't like making the sale.
Yeah. Okay, because you're becoming vulnerable. Yeah, is that fair to say? Yeah. Okay. So let's think a moment. And again, we're going to move all of the other parts of you aside and just let this part talk for itself. What happened in the past that it feels it has to protect you? What comes up for you? Don't think too much. Just let it come up.
I just don't like it when people try to sell something to me. I don't like that.
Okay.
I don't know why.
No, you don't need to know why. That's okay. That's another part coming in to try and interfere. We're gonna ask that to stand back a little bit. That's another protector, yeah. We're just gonna ask that part to stand back, and we'll stay with the part that we've got, and we'll just let it express itself. It doesn't need to know why. It doesn't have to justify itself. It's just going to talk to us. Yeah?
Okay.
So that part of you don't like people selling to you, trying to convince you of something, perhaps? Yeah. Okay. So where did this part first feel it? Where did it feel this confrontation of being sold to, or and again, let it come.
I just felt that, you feel it sometimes on calls, when you used to just get calls from people on your cell phone. Now that doesn't happen as much, where someone's trying to sell something to you, with unsolicited. Sure.
Okay. Now that's later in life, and that protector part would have come up when that happened. But before that, see if you can just give it some space. And I know this is live, but we're gonna have moments of silence that just allows things to come up, yeah?
So like something in my childhood that might have happened?
I don't know, what comes up for you? Something where you were, it sounds like something where you were told who you should be or how you should do something, or a sales pitch by the sound of it, but that could mean many things. A part of you that...
I really don't know, because I really don't remember a lot about my childhood for some reason, but...
Okay, that's because you've got protectors coming in to say that. So we're going to ask them, all of these protectors are coming in and they're all serving a purpose. It's really important they're there and we acknowledge that, but we're going to ask them just to move back a little bit more, like be in the room with you, but move out toward the edges. And for this now, we're going to have to, anyone who's sending messages or anything, they're going to have to wait, yeah? It's just you and me here. And we're going to ask those parts of you to move back and give this part some space to just float up and talk to us. Because when you say you don't know what happened in your past, what comes up if you did know?
I've just never really seen it demonstrated and, selling stuff, because I've always worked for the Navy, so I've never had to sell anything. And part of it too is that, I know for me, I've seen myself lately is that I kind of act like I put myself out there, but I don't always put myself out there because, I interview guests a lot, right? So when you interview guests, like your wife and you do solo episodes. I don't do that a lot. I really protect myself. I don't put myself out there. And so maybe part of that is with sales too, is that I don't put myself out there. Someone wants to interview me coming up on an episode. So I've shared some things about myself, but I haven't shared a lot. So maybe it's not just the sales. Maybe it's...
I'm just going to get a pause there. That's good, because another part's coming in and trying to analyze it. We're going to ask that to move back, because you just shared a lot. That part was really open then. The part we're talking to about protecting itself, about protecting. So it's trying to protect Emily. It's trying to protect Emily. So what's it trying to protect Emily from?
Embarrassment.
Embarrassment, yeah. That's it. Yeah. So I'd like you to invite that part to understand that we're talking with it, but we're curious and we're not being judgmental. Okay? Yeah. And when did it first come up? When was it first worried about embarrassment? What happened?
Probably like even when I played basketball, like I was a really good basketball player, but I remember when I played basketball kind of always being conscious of the people that were watching me. Even though, I could have scored, like I was the leading scorer in Maryland, DC, and Virginia. But I was never, when I was a senior in high school, but I was never like 100% focused on the game. I was always aware of what other people would think.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So you might have been playing basketball, but more of awareness of others around you and how they view you. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a pleaser.
So let's go back a little bit. Let's go back a little bit before the basketball. Okay. Because basketball was something that it was a skill that you learned and you became good at it. Yeah. But even when you were good at it, there was still this awareness of others and how they view you. So let's give this a little bit more space and just go back a little bit further. And when did this part first start to feel that it was aware of others and their opinions of you, of Emily?
Probably when I started going to school.
Yeah. Early school. Did you move school around a bit, or were you at one school? Moved a bit? And how was it trying to fit in with everyone?
Yeah, that was hard. Yeah, thinking about that, I went to first grade here in Stanton, Virginia, but then we moved to Northern Virginia, we moved to Annandale, then we moved to Centerville, then we moved back to Annandale. Wow. So I did switch schools. Yeah, so
Okay. So,
and probably was something.
yeah, let's go back to the start there and recognise that part that we're talking about. And I'm just going to invite you to take a moment, pause for a moment, and see if you can get an image in your head of that little Emily, that part. Just anything that comes up around that period of time, whatever comes to the front. Anyone?
I do have one, because I have another coach where we had to look at our image of ourselves when we were little. So it's my screensaver on my phone right now.
Yeah, right. And when was that? About what age?
5.
Okay. And tell me a little bit about that, Emily.
That Emily lived on a farm in Stanton, Virginia. And I remember that when I was in 6th grade, so maybe a little bit older, that we moved to Northern Virginia. No, 2nd grade. So 2nd grade, we moved to Northern Virginia. And I remember that for some reason, we couldn't tell anybody that we were moving. And I had to leave my quartz crystal that I found at my farm in the classroom. I remember that. And I remember just not being able to tell anybody that we were leaving. So I don't know if I got to say goodbye to my friends.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to ask you to, you can close your eyes or keep them open, whatever's comfortable. Just to imagine yourself there with that little Emily in the moment. Now, you're kind of standing away from her, okay? Let her, give her some space to just, is she standing up or sitting down, or what's that Emily doing? What's she doing?
Standing.
She's what?
Standing.
Standing, okay. So stand away from her a little bit, but allow her to see you and see if she can see you. Can she see you? Mm-hmm. Okay. So how's she feeling toward you?
Loving. I don't know why I have tears coming down.
Okay. That's okay.
She's admiring me.
She's admiring you. Oh, that's good. Okay. Are you able to kneel down so you're about the same height?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. And maybe she can come toward you, or you can come toward her. Are you able to get closer and about the same height?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Does she know how old you are now?
Yep.
She knows how old, and she's admiring you. That's good, isn't it?
Yeah. She's like, wow, you accomplished a lot.
There you go. So
not that accomplishing should be everything, but
you've accomplished a lot, and she's aware of that. That's really clever for a 5. How old is she? Do you think 5, 6?
6. Probably 6.
Okay. So, are you able to look at her and tell her that she's accomplished a lot too?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Does she feel like she's accomplished a lot?
No, she's like insecure.
Yeah. Yeah. She's feeling insecure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Something happened in her past that wasn't pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Before she was 6.
Maybe.
Does she know? Is she able to share that?
Yep. She can share it.
What happened?
Then something that I've never said to many people.
It's okay. Take your time.
I was at the babysitters, and there was an older kid there, and he would take us behind the chimney, and he would make us pull our pants down and pull our shirt up, and he would wash us, and we weren't allowed to tell anybody.
You weren't allowed. And how old was he?
He was probably like 13.
Okay. And how old was little Emily?
She was probably like 6.
About the same age. Yeah. And did she ever get to tell anyone?
Yeah, she told her parents, and I don't really know what happened. It was, in the late 60s, late 60s probably. So nothing happened in those days.
Nothing happened. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I ever went back to the sitters, but
no,
yeah.
Nothing. Okay. So this little Emily now knows that you're with her now, yeah? Mm-hmm. She knows that you've achieved a lot, and therefore she can look up to you. Can you tell her that you now know what happened with her, and let her know that you understand, and just let her feel what she feels and express it and share it with you. Yeah, what's she feeling?
Relieved.
Relieved. Yeah, why is she relieved?
Just because she feels understood.
Yeah, she feels understood now. Yeah. So he's an adult who's going to listen to her and understands, yeah? And big Emily's not going to let that happen anymore, is she, to little Emily? No. So little Emily, what would she prefer to be doing than protecting you from this happening again? She doesn't want you to become vulnerable. She doesn't want you to be hurt. What would she prefer happened?
I don't think I understand the question.
Okay, so little Emily, if we could teach big Emily some practices, some things for her other parts to help her out, would you like that? So that you don't have to be on guard all the time?
Yeah.
Yeah, she'd like that. Okay, that's good. And if we were to teach big Emily some things that allow her other parts to help protect her, and you could relax a little bit, what would you do? What would little Emily do?
Play.
Play. What would she play?
Probably watercolor and
Okay.
just run around, play outside.
I bet. Yeah. Okay. Well, now that she's met Paul and she's talked with you now, if we said to her that big Emily and Paul are going to work on some things and we're going to get other parts to come to the forefront and start helping out, is she able to let go and run off and play for a while?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And knowing this, we just want to reassure her that we're asking her to come with us too. Yeah. She can come back to you anytime she wants. Yeah. If she feels that she needs to contact you, you're here. Yeah.
Right.
And she can be with you anytime. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to let her run off and play, and you can tell me when she's heading off and what she chooses to do.
She just went. I just picture her when we were living on the farm, so she went to play by the stream.
Sweet. That sounds fun. Okay. So now I'm going to invite Emily just to take a deep breath in through your nose and exhale through your mouth, nice and slowly. And do that 3 times for me. Just in. Oh, yeah. Let it out. And again. In. Out. In. And out. Okay. And now you can come back into the present moment with me and say good day.
Good day.
Yeah, that was really brave of you. Thank you for doing that. So what we did there was we just discovered a part that was blocking your pathway forward, okay? It takes some practices and it takes some tools for you to be able to move that part, to move it out permanently. It's going to, over the next probably 7 to 10 days, it'll probably come back. You know, you will feel vulnerable. And you're relating it to, I hate making sales. There's a part of me that hates making sales. But now you understand what that part is and what it's been doing. How do you feel toward it?
Well, it's been protecting me, right?
Yeah. So how do you feel?
It probably doesn't need to keep protecting me.
No, but you don't. Do you hate it? Awareness of what it's been doing. When we're aware of what these protective parts are doing, we can sort of open up a little bit and show them some gratitude maybe and be able to understand. I mean, here's this Emily that's been with you since the age of 5 or 6 that's coming forward to protect you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And now you've been able to say to her, well, I'm going to. Where am I? Oh, wow. Guess what? Free. She's out there playing by the stream. She's out playing by the stream. That's so cool. Yeah. So that was a mini version of one practice, yeah. And there are literally hundreds of practices, and depending upon where the client is, what their thoughts are, and what it is that they're endeavouring to do, we just investigate what's blocking them. Yeah. And now from here,
something that's obvious to the person as to what's blocking them.
Well, it was your obvious part was I hate making sales.
But right. Then what was maybe keeping me from that?
Well, that's right, because that's the problem. And what we do, we're getting to the cause of the problem. You know, we can't. You fix a problem, there's another problem, but there's a cause. And when we get to the cause, then we can unblock it, and then the problem goes away. You know,
so you feel like that younger Emily is protecting me,
yeah,
and doesn't want me to feel hurt.
Yes, and therefore says, "Don't do sales because you're being vulnerable. You might be hurt."
Vulnerable.
Yeah, and you're saying to her, "Oh wow, where's that coming from? Oh, I get it now. Yeah, I get it." Mm-hmm. She felt vulnerable, and no one was going to listen or do anything. And therefore she doesn't want you to go through that pain, you know?
Yeah.
But when we understand that, we can let it go and nurture it, you know? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I'm going to learn things. I'm going to learn practices, techniques that will allow me not to have this aversion about making sales, because my thought is I'm being vulnerable and I might get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, if I said to you now, the big Emily, do you have good content that you want to share with people?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you believe it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So whether or not they judge you or don't judge you, it needs to be taken out of the equation. About what others think needs to be released. It's not about what others think. It's what you think.
Mm-hmm. Let go of the detach from the outcome.
Attach from the yes.
Yes.
Remember? Yes, let go of the attachment to the outcome. Yeah. Yeah. And this all stems from everybody has habitual behavior of trying to control that which you can't control.
Right. I can't control if you're ready to be coached or want to be coached or any of that. I can control that I have good material, but whether somebody does or does not want to be in my coaching program isn't necessarily because of my material. It could be that they can't afford it. Cindy just posted, I can't afford a coach, or it could be that they're in a different time of their lives, or they've got something else busy going on. So
it's important that your thought is what you concentrate on. Not the circumstance, but your thought toward the circumstance. What am I making it mean? What is this thought making it mean? It's a sentence in my head. What am I making it mean? Mm-hmm. Now that there's so many different ways of doing it, but I'm really hesitant with methods that produce a spiritual bypass, I call it, mm-hmm. when we just suppress, repress, depress, pretend, turn that frown upside down. All of that doesn't work. It's necessary to find out what it is that's blocking you, where it is, where it's from, because it's real. We look at time as linear, but that Emily still exists back then at 6 and did up until tonight. And now you've been able to release her and she's off playing in the stream now, yeah? Mm-hmm. So it's a matter of understanding that there are certain parts of us that are stuck. And when we unstick them, then we can start to move forward. And to unstick them, there are different practices for different things. They're not always the same. And mm-hmm. That's why it's an ongoing practice. It's like anything. You were good at basketball. How long did it take to learn that?
long time and a lot of hard work. Yeah.
Yeah. So when we do the same with this thing called our brain and our mind, and we understand the difference between the two and the interconnection or the interdependence, and then we understand what it is they do and the chemicals that flood our body when they're doing what they're doing, then we can start to tinker around and start to change outcome. Because ultimately, we live in a universe that is infinite, but we are finite. So we have this finite thing living in a universe that's infinite, and we want to try and control it so that we feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Do you see the irony of that?
Mm-hmm.
So when we realize that we can't control that which is outside of us, but we can control that which is inside of us, we start to learn that chaos and order, let's call them pleasant and unpleasant, are both necessary. Chaos is necessary and order is necessary, but we want order. We want to control things. We want order.
Why is chaos necessary?
Okay, and that's a great question. I love that question because everything has an antithesis. Up has down, left has right, in has out. It's all about balance. Okay. So chaos is the unknown. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a fear of the unknown. But the unknown is what teaches us, because what we don't know, when we move toward, we know. So by moving toward chaos, we learn new things, and therefore it becomes order. Until such time, we need to increase our knowledge of order. Therefore, we need more chaos, the unknown, and we need to make the uncertain certain.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why chaos and order are yin and yang. Yeah, they're the things that make existence exist. But we're the thing in the middle. We're the piece that is not infinite.
We're in the middle, and you're saying you can be happy whether there's chaos or order.
You will be I'm saying it further. You will be unhappy if you try and live only in chaos or only in order.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can have everything you want. Think of a utopian state, yeah? That false utopian state.
Yeah.
Where they believe everything is in order. It doesn't exist. It crumbles. So you could have what you think is everything you need, but you may not be happy.
Right.
And therefore you need a balance of chaos and order. You need to balance unhappy and happy. And in the Buddhist term, you find that equanimity, that point down the middle, yeah? That as if you're going down the stream and you've got a bank on the left and a bank on the right. You could have chaos on the left, order on the right. It's just a bank. You're in the middle.
Yeah.
And they're both contributing to your reality. And when you can move toward that which is uncomfortable, you learn a new reality.
Leaving the comfort zone.
Yeah.
If anyone's watching and they have a question, feel free to post a question too. Hi, DJ. Hi, Cindy. Well, Cindy posted that, she can't afford a coach. What would you recommend to somebody who can't afford a coach about how they can work on this for themselves?
Go to my website, click on the 15-minute free consultation, and I'll walk you through what to do. Okay.
And his website is right, paulpettit.com.
That's it.
Yeah.
Everybody's situation is different, yeah?
Yeah.
For me, there's a part of me now, a teacher part that wants to come out and share. Because I've had many teachers, and on that website you can see there's a list of them on one of the pages. There's many, many, many amazing teachers out there who've done a lot. They've spent their life learning, and now I'm just sharing what they've taught me. And my main teacher, my guru, shared to me that love all and feed all. And basically, Indian. He didn't speak a lot of English, but the best translation of love all and feed all that he was trying to share is not just food, just love all and feed all for who they are and what they need. How can we best serve? So, I can certainly point them in the right direction, whoever's saying that they can't afford coaching. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting session.
Very interesting session. But you're smiling, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Do you feel a little bit lighter, I hope?
Yeah, I do. I mean, it kind of built on what we were doing in my other coaching group, which is, looking at our child and realizing, our picture of us as a child and realizing we're still that person. We still have that innocence in us, and you wouldn't look at a child like that and criticize them. So why do we beat ourselves up so much, right?
Well, because we think we're one thing.
Mm-hmm.
We're brought up to think that we are just this one thing, that I'm Paul, that's it. But the reality is everything has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's impermanent, yeah. That nothing stays the same. Me, as I was 20 years ago, totally different to me now.
Mm-hmm.
But when we think that we're just one thing, that's where we get caught out. We're not. We're multifaceted. We have so many parts to us. And when we allow space for the parts to come up and we use curiosity, not judgment, we become curious, then we get to go through. A lot of the time we become judgmental of ourselves. How many times do you look at yourself and think, well, I'm not good enough?
Right. Well, and that's what this coach is saying, the essence that was you when you were 5 or 6, when you're this little kid is still within you. And that's what he's saying.
Yeah, because that essence is your core essence, is another word in the West is soul, your soul.
Yeah,
your being, because we're human beings. Yeah.
You wouldn't say to this being, you're not good enough, or so why would you say yourself now, right?
Yeah, because that is in you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's in me still.
That's a part of you.
The soul is like your fingerprint, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
So, looking at a picture of you when you were younger and take away any judgment of it or any superficial, like he says, don't think, well, of course, that's an innocent soul. It didn't, very young, didn't know anything, get your judge out of the way and just realize that this is still in you and treat yourself nicely.
Guess what? Do you know how young you are now? You sitting there? Do you know how young you are? How many times have you been around? You're very young. You're very young. Yeah. You're still young. And we have this desire to be perfect, but we're perfect in our imperfection. That's the whole point.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes us unique.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of love for you, but I don't want to be you.
Right.
I can only be me.
Right.
I like to say your job
is to be you.
Yeah. Yeah. And when we can accept that for who we are, it's all about accepting yourself. And the way to accept yourself is to do what you did, one of the ways tonight, to go back and see where you felt that you weren't being accepted. And then go and tell that person, but I accept you. Yeah. I believe you. I love you. And the more you do it and the more you understand about yourself, you'll get to the point where you can look in the mirror. I can look in the screen right now and I say, I love that guy. I just love him. I mean, he's amazing. He gets to take me around the place, like from Australia to here, and I met an amazing woman and have a wonderful life, and I get to share time with all these people because this thing's carrying me around. Like, how cool is that?
Yeah, your body is carrying you around.
My body's carrying me around, so why would I be judgmental of it? Because if I compare it to others, that's them. This is me.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not in that, but in a way we are, but that's getting deeper. Because
yeah.
ultimately we are all connected and we are all one, but that's a story for another time. Mm-hmm. The first thing to learn is about the self and uniting all of the, I call them three aggregates, the body, the mind, and the soul. When you unite them, when you couple them, it's called yoga over here, but it means to couple or unite. And when you unite your body, your mind, and your soul and see that they're interdependent and start loving them and start allowing awareness to come up of what has been happening in the past, of why you've been nasty to yourself. Mm-hmm. And just learn to let go of all of that and go back and say, sorry, I accept you now.
Imagine what the world would be like if everybody accepted themselves. And, you know, one of the things I posted recently was like when I was in the military and working for the Navy, we went to a lot of training. It was a lot of leadership training. It was a lot of how to lead others. It was, you know, we're training on how to work certain systems like computer systems or whatever, you know, training for the job. But there's not, I mean, where in the world do you get this kind of training? You know, how to love yourself. Why is it coaches? Why aren't doctors teaching this? Why aren't they teaching it in school? And the best way, if you can lead yourself, if you can love yourself and you can have, you know, self-mastery, you can lead yourself, you can, you know, be happy despite the circumstances, you know what I mean? If you can find all that, think about what a beautiful world this would be.
What a beautiful world this would be. Yeah.
But they don't.
But it already is, Emily. That's the thing. It already is a beautiful world. You know, when you look at it, this heaven on earth is here. But how we perceive it is not. And you're right. Why aren't we being taught this when we're younger? Well, I don't know. My teaching stemmed from 2,500 years ago. So it's been around a long time. And it used to be told in stories. And you could look at the Bible, or you could look at the Quran, or you could look at, there's I've got a heap of books over there. You could look at the Torah. You could look at whatever you want. They used to tell things through story. Yeah. And then there was a period where science got involved. And it said, well, we'll quantify and qualify everything. And so therefore, at the start of this session, I said that we have phenomenology and neuropsychology. All that is a different way of measuring what has been around for more than 2,500 years. The knowledge that this thing I call myself, is not permanent. It's going to die. This body's going to go. Yeah, mm-hmm. But I'm living in something that is infinite. And when I keep trying to control, as I said earlier, when I keep trying to control exterior, the infinite, it's not going to work. So let go. The only thing that really exists is the present moment in this timeline. Mm-hmm. And therefore, in this next breath, I can get to decide how I want to move forward, because everything else is behind me.
It already happened.
Like that. But to change it like that, we need to unblock what's blocking it. We're on a pathway and we want to keep moving forward, but there's things blocking it. And we sit there, we dodge them, and we try and get around them, and you can't. You've got to pick it up, recognize it, and then release it. It's just energy. Just release it. Let go. Yeah.
Hold on 1 second.
Where is she going?
She's like, Mom, you've been...
Pearl. Yeah. Do what Pearl does. Live in the moment.
Yeah, she says, I want a session with you, Paul.
She already knows. Live in the moment. That's it. It's simple, but it's not easy.
Yeah, I like when you say that. It's simple, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
So what's the name of your podcast, too? So to let everybody...
Podcast? Mindfulness Mondays?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's an awesome podcast. It's every Monday morning. It's on, and it's just 8 minutes or less.
That's the criteria. Yeah, my son's the engineer of it. I get to waffle away because I like to talk. I get to waffle away, and then he's got to put it in under 8 minutes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, a lot of time it's very short, but
yeah.
I wanted it for that reason, because I just want something at the beginning of the week for someone. If you just think about this, just think about it, and then off you go. Thank you. Look at the last name. Yeah.
Do you know Susie?
Great supporter. Great woman.
You could share Susie's podcast too.
Yeah, love your life show.
Yeah, they love your life show.
Yeah, that's
so Susie and Paul are both coaches.
Yeah, and that can be an asset or a liability sometimes.
Do you coach Susie and Susie coaches you?
We probably do more of that without even realizing, but then every now and again, I just turn around and say, you know what, I just want a hug.
Yeah, I just want you to be my wife, not my coach or whatever.
Yeah, but this is a passion, Emily. As you know, we live it. We live and breathe what I'm sharing with you and what she shares.
I know you guys do.
It's our life's work, but it's our life's passion, and it's come together. It's just like it is how we be. What you see is what you get. Yeah. And it's just all about understanding you control. You know, at the back of my business card, it says every day has a new beginning, but you decide the ending. And you truly do. Everyone has the capacity to do it. You just got to learn how.
Well, tomorrow I'm going to rake in $1 million.
Manifest that. What would you do with $1 million?
Oh, what would I do? If I would start a foundation and help other people out.
So you're having the thought that $1 million would allow you to say, oh, thanks, Susie, for the podcast.
Yeah.
Right? You're having the thought that $1 million would allow you to do that.
Yeah. Something with the onward movement and helping out other people. I mean, one of the things I've thought of is right next door to me is the Center for, I should know it, but it's a foster home, foster home for kids, and they help place kids and stuff like that. And especially during this COVID time, I just think, I would really like to help out families that need it.
And that's purpose and meaning, and that's a pathway to happiness. Because when you have a purpose with a long-term meaning attached to it, it keeps you focused. It
definitely keeps me focused. I mean, I like living where I live right now. It's not like I would buy a huge house or, none of that stuff.
But you're already on the pathway to it, so it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Manifest it, it's going to happen.
At some point, I would like to buy a camper, though. I don't need $1 million for it.
You can do that now, mate.
I know. I would love to tour the U.S., meet different onwarders in different parts of the country, and go camping and stuff.
Let's have a session on that, because there's only one thing stopping you.
Me. Yeah, I know. I'm going to do it. I'm just waiting for probably next spring is my.
Okay. Let's see. I'll hold you to it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Paul. Stay here. I'll just end this live. And then thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Susie, for the link to Mindfulness Mondays. And appreciate everyone that was watching.
Yeah.
Nice night.
Thanks for holding it, Emily. I really enjoy what you do. Thank you.